Hey guys, before you start the video, like and hit the subscribe button. I received a ton of great feedback, especially about the SVT Contour I reviewed, and I want to hear your thoughts and see your comments about this car and the other ones I reviewed. So comment below and hit subscribe. This is a 2012 Ford Escape, and I really like this SUV. If I had to describe the Escape in one word, it'd be this: analog. It's amazing to see how much car technology has advanced in less than 10 years. Granted, this is a 2012 Escape and was the last model year before Ford switched production of the Escape from the CD2 platform to the C1 platform in the United States, but it feels so analog. You'd think you're driving a car from the 90s. The CD2 platform, the one this Escape rides on, was only shared with the Escape's badge-engineered sisters, the Mercury Mariner and the Mazda Tribute. The CD2 platform actually began production in 2001 with the first generation Escapes, meaning the first generation's Escapes ride and handle nearly identical to the second generation, albeit new powertrain options were available for the second generation. The first and second generation Escapes were well received. Over their 5 model year run, Ford sold over 1 million Escapes in the United States. Third generation did even better, selling 1.5 million units in the same time frame. But there are other factors that need to be considered when analyzing those numbers. For example, the recession affected sales for the second generation, and the strong economy after has bolstered sales for the third generation. Despite the third generation selling well, the second generation of these SUVs are the ones in demand. Low mileage, well-kept second generation Escapes command high prices on the used market. Here's an interesting statistic to consider. The second generation Escape commands a higher price on the used market than the third generation Escape does. To make an apples to apples comparison, I priced the third generation and second generation Escapes on both NADA guides, or is it NADA guides, I'm not sure, and Kelley Blue Book. I selected the same trim level, options, mileage, and condition. The second generation Escape carries a $1,000 to $2,000 premium, but tend to be listed for much more on the used car market. I suspect there's a few reasons for this. For one, there's more of a surplus of the third generation Escapes. Those cars are now just coming off a lease and dealers want to move them. It's basic economics. But the second reason is more telling. Remember the second generation's platform, the CD2 platform, the one the Escape shared with the Mariner and the Tribute? Well, the third generation's Escape platform has quite a different story. It's shared with nearly a dozen other Ford vehicles, including the Ford Focus, the Focus C-Max, and the Volvo S40 and V50, along with the Mazda 5. Global platforms make sense and ensure the big three's viability, but when a platform is shared globally for everything from an SUV to a compact hatchback, the platform will not excel at any one thing. As the saying goes, jack of all trades, but master of none. Contrast this with GM's Alpha platform. The Alpha platform is used with the CTS, ATS, Camaro, CT4, and CT5. Each one of those models is a coupe or sedan passenger car. Because it's used for one segment of automobiles, GM can perfect and tweak the chassis to make it excel at handling. The platform is designed for a low roof-lined, front-engine, rear-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive car. GM doesn't throw this platform at the new Arcadia or the Chevy Blazer in a failing attempt to make a passenger car architecture work with an SUV. No, those vehicles ride on their own platform, the C1XX, which is shared with other SUVs exclusively. A platform that is designed to be used globally on drastically different types of vehicles will never excel at one task. That's why the second generation Escape commands a higher price. Its chassis was designed for a compact SUV and it excels at that one task. It's that simple. The second generation Escape was powered by a Duratec 30 V6 or Duratec I4. The V6 makes 240 horsepower and 223 pound-feet of torque, whereas the 4-cylinder made 171 horsepower and 171 pound-feet of torque. Ford has a long and storied past of using the Duratec name for their engines. The Duratec name has been slapped on dozens of engines going back to 1995, and it's still used today. I won't go into all the derivatives of the Duratec, but I want to point out that the Duratec 25 in this Escape is different than the 2.5-liter Duratec V6 used in the SVT Contour and Mondeo. This Duratec is an I4, whereas the SVT's is a V6. But people commonly swap the Duratec 30, the 3-liter V6 used in the second generation Escape and 4th generation Tauruses, into the SVT Contour. They produce much more power in the same packaging. For the Escape, front-wheel drive was the default option and an all-wheel drive system was also available. This Escape is front-wheel drive and is paired to a 6-speed transmission, the 6F35. The 6F35 transmission was the product of a joint venture between GM and Ford, and it's used in dozens and dozens of cars between the two manufacturers. Shifting is smooth and downshifts are quick. I didn't find the transmission ever struggled to find a gear, but I did find the Duratec I4 to be slightly underpowered. The Escape with the 4-cylinder accelerates to 60 miles per hour in just under 9 seconds. If I were in the market for a second generation Escape, I would look for an Escape with a 6-cylinder. On the freeway, road noise is present and the Escape is not exactly quiet on the inside. Handling was better than I expected, and that goes back to the dedicated platform. For a vehicle with the roofline as high as the Escape's is, I experienced relatively minimal body roll, and the car felt planted and in control at all times, even at speed. Gas mileage is great at nearly 24 miles per gallon combined. The interior is what you would expect from a compact SUV from the early aughts, but I actually found it to be a bit higher of quality than I anticipated. Even after 105,000 miles, this Escape has few squeaks and rattles, and the materials have worn well. With a good wash, this interior would be brought back to life. And back to how I described the Escape in the beginning of this video. Analog. Check out the lack of gauges and the limited LCD display in the cluster. Notice the simple radio display. Look at the amount of space in the engine bay. The absence of cheap plastic engine covers. This car is analog, but that's not a bad thing. In many ways, analog in the sense of the Escape means reliability. Fewer things will break. When things do break, repairs will be cheaper. These are all things that will result in more time on the road with your Escape. Thanks for watching, and have a nice week.